Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to the flip side where we demystify real estate. So, basically, my goal with this whole thing is to talk to you guys, introduce you to real estate, different kinds of exit strategies you can do with real estate, different ways you can get in with real estate, and I've joined this great community called Subto. It's you can look up Pace Morby on YouTube. He's the mentor. He's the one who created this awesome community. And basically, what I'm doing is I am bringing on members of that community to talk to you guys and tell you about their journey, how they got involved in real estate. It's not scary. Everybody can do this. And I think if you're looking for a way to build income and to maybe create generational wealth, like wealth for you, your kids, your grandkids, or even just get time back, like, you know, freedom of your time. This is a way to do it. Me personally, I'm really passionate about it. And so I am trying to bring other people to talk to you guys about it so you guys can see that anybody can do this. So today's guest, without further ado, is Tj Nguyen. He is a member of Subto out in Alabama, and I will go ahead and bring him on right now. TJ, welcome to the show, man.
Hey Lance, thanks for having me.
Yeah, brother. Yeah. So, dude, I know that you're out in Birmingham, right?
Correct.
Birmingham, Alabama. And so, dude, can you just sort of tell us a little bit about how you got started in real estate and what led you there, dude?
Sure. A bit about me is my background is in robotics education, and so I used to run robotics competitions for a long time, and I helped start a lot of robotics teams around the state of Alabama, and I taught robotics and engineering in high school, middle school, and elementary school. But I really got started in real estate after I bought my first house. I got a roommate immediately out of college when I started my first job. And so I was house hacking for a little bit. And then when I moved back to Birmingham, my college is Auburn University, which is about 2 hours away from here. I turned that single family townhome into an Airbnb, and that was January 2020. And so we were just getting our swing, figuring out what we were doing as hosts. There's a lot of learning curve when you start an Airbnb. It's not just get it started and go, which is what a lot of people think the industry is like. It's really a hospitality industry. So just as we were getting our swing, COVID hit, and we had 13 bookings canceled, and we had to pivot. And Airbnb luckily helped us pivot, and so they started promoting travel nurses, and we immediately got a travel nurse in there for 6 months, and that's kind of how we shifted and got into midterm rentals, was with that first Airbnb. So we started that one. We bought another one on the same street the next 5 months later in May. And then before the end of the year, we ended up with 3 units. Then we started helping other people get Airbnb set up. And so we ended up with 5 units or 8 units the next year. And then from 8, we went up to 15 this past year. And we're on pace before the end of the year, hopefully to get around 30.
Dude, that's amazing, bro. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Dude, that's so awesome to hear, brother. Dude, going back, robotics, dude. Like, tell me a little bit about that, dude. Dude, the only thing when you started mentioning that, I don't know if you saw that movie with George Lopez where he goes around and teaches the kids like the robotics teams in high school and stuff.
No, but that's exactly what I did. I trained I trained teachers to do robotics. So I got involved in robotics in high school in 9th grade. Before then, I was really smart and always kind of just glided through school. Like, it didn't take a lot of effort, but I was also not very engaged. Then I discovered robotics, and that kind of like lit me up. It like gave the answer to when am I going to use this in all my other classes? And the answer is robotics. The robotics, you use everything. Use writing, use engineering, use math, use science, use social studies, like everything you use in the field of robotics. And then I went to Auburn and became a mechanical engineer because of my experience in the robotics competitions. And that's where they hosted the competition. So I was like, oh, let me go get involved in this and follow my passion. So I started volunteering with that office. They hired me. I ended up working with them for 8 years of undergrad and grad school. And then when I graduated, we started our own robotics education department at the university. And I did that for 3 years.
Dude, that's awesome, brother. Dude, that's awesome. I had no idea, dude. No idea, dude. That's what I love about this thing, dude. I get to find out a little bit more about you guys and stuff, dude. So then do you still do robotics now, or are you done with that and you just full-time real estate?
No, I still dabble. I do a lot of 3D printing. I have my connections in engineering and education, and I still talk to my friends. I actually am helping a lot of former teachers transition into real estate or add real estate to help support what they do in their classroom.
Dude, that's amazing, brother. Real estate is a great little gift to give, isn't it, dude? Like,
Yeah,
bringing people
is.
on board. So going back, man, so you bought your first single family residence, your house, and then you decided to turn that into an Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
What, like, so just curious, what was it that made you think like, hey, let's make this an Airbnb? Was other people doing it, or how did you find that out?
I guess so. Auburn's an SEC school, and football is big where we are. And so I always knew we had the football crowd, and that's kind of what everybody at Auburn thinks when they're like, I'm going to run a short-term rental. But the thing about Auburn is it's a elite university, and so there's events there nonstop. So when it's not football season, it's something else. It's basketball season, where it's baseball season, and we're highly ranked in both of those usually. There's academic events and research showcases and all these other things, bringing people to the university for short periods of time. And they just, and our place is nice and quaint, and close to downtown. Auburn's pretty small, so it's close to everything. And having stayed in an Airbnb in LA for the national championship one year, I was like, I could do this. I could run an Airbnb.
And so you went ahead and just dove right in.
Yeah, I dove right in, and it was awful. I crashed and burned. My first guest, I was like, yeah, the house is ready. And the first guest was like, your house is disgusting. I was like, what do you mean? It's not disgusting. But I was a college guy. I didn't know anything about standards of cleanliness or whatever. And so I was like, I'm so sorry. Let me issue a refund. This is our first booking. She was super understanding. She's like, well, I understand what you're trying to do. We'll accept the refund. Hopefully we'll come back and try to stay again later. And so then my now wife was like, all right, let me come in and help you tidy up your place and like get it show ready. And so she like helped me put curtains on the walls and art on the walls, and she's like, clean the toilet seat, put the toilet seat down, like all these things. I was like, I thought I had covered, did not cover. And so she really helped turn it around. We hired professional cleaners. I was just hiring female friends that were like, oh, I clean, but they weren't cleaners. And so it was just a learning process as we went. And we led with transparency and openness to our guests. And we're learning on the spot. Let us know if there's anything going on. We'll address it. We really want this to be a good experience. And most people are super understanding.
Dude, I just got to say, for anybody watching this now or in the future, like, did you hear his story? Like, dude, he didn't know what he was doing. Like, the first tenant was like, this place is absolutely disgusting. Like, dude, you just got to go for it though, right? Like, you just got to go for it and learn. Like, there's never going to be a perfect time.
Absolutely. There's never a perfect time, and you never do it perfectly, even when you know what you're doing. So I guess a theme of my real estate journey is, I didn't know what I was doing, and I paid for it. Like, that's still happening today. Like, deals I'm doing today, I'm like, oh man, that's not how I should have done that. Oh man, I lost a lot of money doing it that way. I could have done it this way. So you get better and better, and that's a never-ending process. Like, Pace Morby is still getting better at what he does. Like, Grant Cardone is still getting better at what they do. If you ever think you're there, then that just guarantees you're never going to move anywhere else in life.
Yeah, and to be, it's funny. Like, for us, you went the Airbnb route. My partner Z and I are going the fix and flipping route, right? And for us, dude, it's like every time we come into a new project or something, we're always learning something new. And you think that you've got things figured out, but then you realize with another project, no, I don't have things figured out. Like, I gotta do this or I gotta do that, or something new that you haven't encountered pops up, and you're like, shit. When did this happen? So it's like, for me, dude, I'm with you, man. It's a never learning journey. Like, you're always learning on this great journey and stuff like that. So, dude, what do you look for now as far as like, because you've got some doors under you, you've got some experience under you right now. So as far as, and you're still Airbnb, correct?
Correct. So we do most of our listings on Airbnb, and then we do Furnish Finder as well. And then we get a lot of repeat business that just book with us directly. And we're able to save both parties a lot of money once that trust is established and they like our places and we know that they've been good guests. We just book directly.
So what do you look for, man? Like, so if somebody wanted to get involved and you're like, hey, this would be my 5 main tips to you guys to sort of look to see if it would be a good Airbnb or not. Like, what do you look for as far as an Airbnb or midterm rental?
So I'll approach this from the midterm rental angle because that's what we're really leaning into. And in most neighborhoods and most cities, there's a lack of midterm availability. So even where I am in Birmingham, if I were to go into the suburbs, there's no midterm availability in the suburbs. And there's tons of people who need these midterm places, like somebody who has a job change and they're looking for a house in the neighborhood or near the school that their kids are going to go to. Or their house floods and they need a place for 3 to 4 months while their house gets renovated. Or maybe they're just getting a new kitchen and they're not going to have a kitchen for 3 months and they need a place to stay. That happened to a friend of mine I live with. And in the suburbs, there's not a lot of options. Secondly, I look at opportunity, and in the midterm rental space, we have found, me and my wife, is that a lot of houses that don't work for long-term rentals or primary residences are amazing midterm rentals. You can put up with something for 3 to 6 months that you could not put up with if you live there. So smaller houses are nice because a lot of times you only have traveling professionals, like are traveling single or maybe with their partner or maybe with a pet. Pet friendly is awesome. So we look for places with fenced in yards, but in general, just things that are near highways or near amenities. Highways is a big thing. Like if you're in a major municipality, we have a place that we bought for $100,000. It's near 2 highways. It's close to grocery stores and shops, and that's it. It's not a great unit because it's a 2-1, 900 square foot house. Like I wouldn't want to live there as my primary home, but as a midterm home, if I'm a traveling professional and I'm gonna go out the door at 7 a.m. and hop on the highway and just do my runs to wherever I need to go and come back at night and have access to restaurants and shops, then I'm happy. And so we paid $100,000 on that. Our PITI, our mortgage payment is $615, and as a furnished midterm rental, a lot of we're getting $2,400 a month for that property, and it's probably 90% booked throughout the year.
Dude, that's amazing, bro.
Like we have people waiting for other people to get out to get into that property.
That's amazing, dude. Amazing. I love to hear that because you like doing that as a business. Like you want people to be wanting your product or your service. You know what I mean? So knowing that you have people waiting for people to get out, dude. Congratulations, dude. Congratulations.
And there's no competition on this house. Like people are like, I don't want to live there, or that's not gonna make a great rental. And we saw the opportunity and we went for it. And this was our 3rd place. So we didn't know what we were doing. We had no idea. We just guessed. We had a gut feeling when we went with it. And the worst case scenario, it was $100,000 house. We'd be able to rent it and make money eventually.
Yeah, and I just want to touch base for anybody that's, like I said, watching this now or watching it in the future, like different exit strategies for one property. Like if you listen to TJ he talked about the house wouldn't work as a long-term rental, or it wouldn't work as a primary residence, but it worked as a midterm rental. And sometimes you got to go and look at a property in multiple different ways, so like if you're thinking to yourself like, hey, I want to do just short-term rental on this, maybe also check if it works as a long-term rental so you have a backup plan in case something happens, or like maybe in your market area all of a sudden they start licensing out permits, or you need to have a permit to operate a short-term rental or something like that, and you can't get one. So now what do you do with that property? So different exit strategies are always good. So I know for myself, and I don't know about you, TJ, but I know for myself, when I go in and I look at a property, like even when I'm fixing and flipping, I think to myself, what happens if I want to hold this property? What can I do with it? Is it in an area where I can maybe make a lot of money on a short-term rental, or at least can I keep it and make it a long-term rental? As far as yourself, when you start looking at a property, I know that your business model is midterm rentals, or in that hospitality kind of a environment, or category. But when you look at a property, do you go through all the exit strategies as well?
Yeah, we definitely don't rely just on midterm rentals. So we we analyze and we look for properties that will that are easy to get into. So now we were buying with traditional hard money loans. We did some primary resident loans, but now we're using OPM, so our risk is way less, and we know what we're doing. We're able to accurately predict, and we have tools that we can use to kind of look at the market. So on furnishfinder.com, you can do furnishfinder.com/stats and type in your city, and you can see how many inquiries were requested. You can see what people are asking for. Is it 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, or 3 bedroom? And then the price range. So you can see what people price range is on Furnish Finder, and you can do market research that way. And another thing is our local knowledge destroys all online tools. So AirDNA, Furnish Finder, Stats, like none of them compare to just us having grown up in this neighborhood, and knowing the things, especially in Birmingham. We have a lot of out-of-state investors because we're just an attractive market. Like prices are great here, and rent prices are great. But out-of-state investors get killed by online tools. They'll look at how Privy or PropStream is analyzing a property and pulling comps. But in Birmingham, if you're on one side of the railroad tracks and on the other side of the railroad tracks, it's a completely different neighborhood. That's 0.2 miles, and it might be in the radius of PropStream, but you're going to get $100,000 difference in your appraisal.
Dude, okay, so you brought up a lot of good points right there that I want to elaborate on, because first is if you guys listen to him talk, he said he's investing in his own backyard. And when you're starting out in real estate, I mean, if you live in an expensive market, maybe you might want to think about out of state. But I always like the aspect of investing in your own backyard, because you know it. Just like TJ said, people, out-of-state investors are getting killed because they don't understand that if you go one street south or one street, north, it could be a different market. So I think investing in your own backyard is really key and a great place to start. Also, he mentioned OPM. So for those of you that don't know what OPM stands for, it's just others people's money. And I'm glad you brought that up, bro, because that's sort of where we're at right now. Like we're bringing on private money, capital partners and stuff like that right now in our ventures to scale, because I'm sure as yourself, when we started using all our own capital, right? And I quickly found out that I'm limited because my capital can only be put into so many projects, and then I'm done, because I got to wait. So now we're on the journey of actually talking to people, letting them know what we're doing, and trying to build our list of private money lenders. For you in your journey, how have you found that? And when did you realize it in your journey that, hey, if I want to scale, I need to bring friends or family or other investors on?
Yeah. The first week I was in Subto, I got in a message. I had a deal I was working on, and I knew it was a good deal. Like I felt it in my gut. I was running the numbers. It was a lake house that was listed for 1.4 million or 1.5 million, something like that. But it was going to cash flow. It was going to generate $250,000 a year in revenue as a short-term rental. So I got in to Subto, and one of the things we have there are the accountability groups by region. So I got into accountability group, and I was like, how do you find OPM? How do you find private money lenders? And the guy running the Zoom was like, so what is your experience in real estate? And I was like, we have 16 midterm rentals, short-term rentals. We do all this, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, oh, who knows about it? I'm like, I'm telling you now, my friends and family. And he was like, okay. And that's all. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you need to be posting on social media every day or every week and make it a consistent habit to show what you're doing. So people can see that you're doing it and build the trust in you. And then once you have that rapport, then you can go ask people for money because you have that credibility. And then he also said, if the deal is good, the money will find you. And so get better at analyzing deals, get better at figuring out the exit strategy, get better at finding creative ways to enter a deal so that there's more profit to be had. And then the money will come. Like if you have a clear path to paying back somebody else's money, then it will be easier to find that money. And sure enough, I started posting on Facebook every day for a week. And within a week, I had people coming to me asking me, hey, I see what you're doing. I like the way you structure deals. I'd love to do a deal together. I'm a lender. I don't have time. I'm to do things, to find deals, but I have money to give and help partner with.
Dude, it's so, bro, like what, because you touched on social media and I'll get in, but I want to know, were you always a social media guy? Did you see the power of it, or do you
I mean,
love it?
I've always been a social media guy, but I've always been hesitant to post what I'm doing professionally on there because I feel like it's like showy. So like my previous career as a robotics person, like I got to a high level in that, and I lived I had a really great career, but I felt awkward posting things about it because I feel like, oh, I'm being braggy. And it was the same thing with real estate. I was like, I don't want to be braggy, or I don't know what my reservations were, but I had reservations about posting the things I was doing professionally. And the guy was like, you just got to get over it. I forget who the host, who was hosting the specific Zoom, but he was like, you got to get over that, man. He's like, post it. The benefit is way more than than whatever you're dealing with. And then if you have an issue with it, post it in real estate groups, post it, make a separate social media just for that. Like if you have issues, but you have this network, use that network. If people like you, they'll enjoy what you do, whether it's robotics or real estate or whatever.
Dude, it's not funny, but it's sort of funny for me because, dude, I hate social media. Like I hate it, it feels like such a job. I'm like, but bro, I push myself. I'm making it a habit. Like I've committed to doing these sort of live things, and I post like at least once a day, and I've been doing that probably now for the last, I don't know, 7 weeks. And it's starting to become habit forming now, because now if I'm like getting behind a day and I'm like, oh dude, I gotta post something today, but it has been honestly one of the best things that I've done is start showing the work. And you're right, dude. Like I had the same mentality. Like I was just sort of like, no, man, this is sort of showing off. Like I don't want to do this, or in my head, I might be like, who the hell is going to find this interesting? You know what I mean? It's going to be like, who's going to learn anything from this? Like who's going to be like, hey, I want to know what you're doing. But dude, I get people asking me about our flip projects. I get people asking me about, how did you find that property, or why are you out in San Antonio, Texas, and you're not flipping in, San Diego, California, or, other questions like that. But it's cool because people are actually asking me stuff. Do you find that as well, man? When you started posting about your stuff, were you like, holy shit, this works?
Yeah. And, I'm an educator at heart. And so anytime I understand something, I found that I usually understand it differently than other people. And I love sharing how I understand things with people and helping them get to a level of understanding. And another thing with that is wherever you are in your journey in real estate, you're a little bit further than somebody else, and you can always help somebody else. And when I've been leading from that point of view, I've been learning along with other people. So by being open to helping other people will bring me questions. I'm like, I don't know. Let me go find the answer. Let me help you find the answer. Let's find the answer together. And then we both learn and we both figure it out. We both work through the problem, and you don't feel alone. Like a lot of times I see people get burnt out when they try to do real estate and they try to do everything alone, and they're doing acquisitions, they're doing dispo, they're calling people, they're trying to underwrite, they're trying to comp, and it's just all overwhelming. And they don't have, this is all in their extra time because they're doing something else to pay the bills. And you lose sight of what you're doing. And then like one of the best things about Subto is I always have people like you who are willing to hype me up, or willing to like pick my head up and figure out what I need to do next. Like I never feel alone in this community.
No, it's funny, man. Like I don't either. The community, I'm gonna touch on the community in a minute, but I wanted to say that was me in the beginning, dude. Feeling like I had to do everything on my own, like comp the properties, go acquire the properties, dispo the properties, like all of it, dude. And it was overwhelming, and it all on the borderline gets a little exhausting mentally, and you're just like shit, because when you're taking it all on your own, you're not moving at a faster pace or growing anything. You're just sort of there thinking to yourself, fuck, is anything ever going to happen? Because it gets a little tiresome, like like you said, just doing everything on your own, and you get overwhelmed, I think is the word I'm looking for. And it's just like, and then it sort of deflates you and takes you back. And but when you start building a team and you start having other people along the journey with you that can help you, or give you advice or information, it makes it so much easier, bro. Wanted to go back. Somebody commented, Z commented saying knowing your market area is key. Yes, and going back to what TJ said, we do flipping in San Antonio, Texas. I know TJ's in his own backyard. We are not, but we have gone to San Antonio, driven the streets, talked to people. Like, we made sure that we understand, especially now, because when we get an appraisal in one neighborhood, even a block over, the houses are not the same. And I've learned that. And so knowing your market area, whether it's in your backyard or not, is key, because like TJ was saying, one street over could change the whole value of that property or what you're going to be doing with it. So know your market area. Okay, now going into Subto, bro. How did you discover Subto and Pace Morby?
I listened to a lot of Bigger Pockets, and I heard Pace's 300 Creative Doors podcast back in like November 2021 or something like that. And then for some reason, I thought about it again this last November 2022, which is when I left my job as a teacher. I retired, and I was like, I can't make it to the end of the year. I don't have energy for anything else. I put too much into teaching, and decided to go real estate full time. And something made me think I need to go back and listen to that. And so I went back and listened to that podcast, and then I listened to it 6 more times that week. So it was like 3 or 4 hour podcast. I just listened to it over and over and over again. And then, I still wasn't on the Pace Morby train, but I was like on the creative financing, thinking about things differently train. And then he started popping up on YouTube, and I was like, oh, let me start diving into his YouTube. And I was just consuming his seller calls, consuming all his YouTube videos, and just everything free he put out. I just started consuming all of that. And I was like, this guy resonates with me. So I've paid for education. I've paid for a note class. I've paid for some midterm rental stuff, some short-term rental stuff, or assisted living training, all kinds of real estate education. And like, I saw the value in them. I saw that you could make money, and they were attracted to me, but they didn't like resonate with who I was like Pace Morby did. And so after about a month of being obsessed with his things, I started taking action to try to figure out how to get a creative deal. So I was looking for and contacting sellers interested in my market off of Facebook, off of For Sale by Owner. And then once I had a deal, then I was like, now I need the community, and now I need the step-by-step help. And so I joined the community, and it had been just, I thought I knew a lot just because I'd spent hundreds of hours listening to Pace at that point, and then my mind was blown. I was like a newborn baby.
Dude, so true, brother. So true. It's funny. I got into it, dude, and you mentioned Bigger Pockets. So for anybody that doesn't know, like, that's sort of how I got my start too, was Bigger Pockets. Everybody, if you've seen my Instagram or you've seen my social media or even shows, that I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and that led me down a rabbit hole. But the next step for me was Bigger Pockets. And I went to a Bigger Pockets conference, met a ton of people there. It's to this day, I still have, friends from that conference that I talk to on a daily or weekly basis. But I didn't find Pace Morby until probably a year after I got into wholesaling. And the way I learned about it was I started wholesaling, and then I started listening to Brent Daniels, and then I started listening to Jamil Damji, and then Wholesale Hotline. And then that's where I first heard Pace. And it wasn't until my lady Z, she was like, hey, I like that guy. Who is that guy? And I'm like, oh, that's Pace. And he's calling somebody a knucklehead, telling them that they got to get karate chopped or some crazy like that, right? And she starts laughing. She's like, dude, this guy is like telling you how it is. He's not fluffing it up. He's not, what are you calling it? Blowing smoke up anybody's, bum hole or anything like that, But and so I started listening to him, and that's when I started doing more of a deep dive on him and getting to know him. And then we just took the plunge. She signed up for the Gator Gator lending program mentorship, and then I just said the hell with it, and I signed up for Subto, and I'm so glad I did, because I've met fabulous people like yourself. I just had Maria Cox on the other day. She's another fix and flipper out in Georgia and Fayetteville, North Carolina. And dude, I'm telling you, bro, like it just opens up so much more when you're in the community like we are, and you're talking to like-minded individuals that are as passionate as you are and that are constantly trying to better themselves and learn as much as you are as well. You've been in real estate for how long? How many years have you been doing this game now?
I read Rich Dad Poor Dad in 2016 or 2017. And so when I bought my first single family house and was house hacking, like it was at the back of my head. And then the exit strategy, if I ever leave Auburn, I'm going to Airbnb, was always at the back of my head. But I really don't feel like I became an investor until we started doing Airbnb in 2020, January 2020. So about 3 years now, 3.5 years.
Dude, so, okay. But for the most part, you started your educational process back when you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, right?
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know even where to start. Like, they might, like, because I used to think when I was younger and I was in college, and I would see people living in like 8-unit apartment complexes or like even 4-unit buildings, and I'm thinking to myself, fuck, that'd be awesome to own. You know what I mean? How do you do that? How does somebody own this? And when I started Rich Dad Poor Dad, that was my first step into learning how people own properties like that. How do you run properties like that? All that stuff. So for you, dude, that's when you started your journey. So for anybody else, man, it's never too late to start your journey. Pick up a book, just get a little bit interested, and then dive down the rabbit hole and reach out to people like TJ or myself and ask for help, and ask your questions and stuff. And another thing too is, if you're coming to people like ourselves, like TJ, who's been in it for a while now, that's running midterm rentals, and if you think that's the way you want to go, or you want to form your business plan like that, approach TJ in a way where you're actually bringing some value to him as well, so he'll want to help you out. That's really key. Like a lot of people, and I'm going to say a lot of people are like leeches out there. They just want to ask their questions and run. They don't want to bring any value to anybody, and so bring some value, lead with value, when you approach somebody that's already doing what you want to be doing, so they're more willing to help. Do you find that a little true, man? When people approach you?
Yeah. I definitely feel like that's true. And especially, I tried to do a lot of outreach to the people in the public creative financing group with Pace Morby. And before they join Subto, I try to give them a good experience, and I try to answer the questions. I try to be available. And there are some people who just ask questions, and they're like attacking me for how long it's taking me to respond, or like not answering their question fully, or like having their idea set in their head of what they want the answer to be, and then my answer is different, and they're like, well, why not this? And I'm like, I mean, you can do that, but here's why I wouldn't do it. And then like all of a sudden we're arguing about a question that he asked me about. I'm like, why am I wasting my time? I am trying to help you. Why are you being hostile? And there's some people who unknowingly are trying to win at the expense of their seller, and I'm always against that. I'm like, and I'll tell them, I'm like, what you are proposing is not good for the seller. Why would the seller choose that? And then they get antagonistic about this. Well, they have no options. They're pre-foreclosure. They're whatever. And I'm like, but they're still human beings. And if you're telling them I am your only option, I would rather go bankrupt and lose my house than deal with somebody who's telling me what I can or can't do.
Dude, so here's another example of this, dude. So I have, when I'm in San Antonio, right, I drive the neighborhoods and I create my own driving for dollars list because I have time. I'm between looking at projects and doing whatever, meeting with people out there. I drive around, so we drive and I write my addresses down. So I just been on the phone with a gentleman for the last 3.5 weeks trying to, he was interested in selling his house. So me and him were going back and forth, talking about it. And, he's been doing his work, and he finally came up to me and he's like, listen, do you know how much my house is worth? And I'm like, I go, I have an idea, but I go, I don't. So tell me how much your house is worth, right? Because I wanted to hear what he say. And he was like, my house is worth about $200,000. And I go, okay, cool. I said, I can't give you that much money. I said, this is what I can give you. This is what makes sense for me, right? And I gave him his dollar amount. I go, but listen, I said, I don't care if you don't sell me the house. If you want me to help you, I go, I'll help you. I go with other people that might be interested in buying your house for more than what I could give you. I said, and I go, I just want to see you get what you want. So if that's something that's of interest to you, let me know. And so, because dude, if he doesn't sell me the house, I still want him to get taken care of. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like I'm
absolutely.
I'm not out there trying to, I want us both to leave feeling good about what we just did. And if he's not feeling good, then I'm not the right fit for him. But I can help him find the right fit. I'd rather, because I know me, I'm not going to take advantage of the guy. You know what I mean? I am genuinely going to want to help him. And so I offer that to him, and you know what he did? He turned around 3 days later, hit me up on a text message. He's like, I want to sell to you. I'm like, what? Cool, man. Hell yeah, dude. So I thought that was awesome, but I would always want to take care of that person, more than just making a buck.
Absolutely. It's and Pace is really big on seller first and solving the seller's problem. I'm all about that. And so I also tell new people that your worst case scenario should be a win-win. Like at least two people should be winning in the transaction, even if it's not you. And if only two people are winning, that's okay. It's still two people winning. But I do a lot of direct to agent. So I want the agent to feel like they've won. I want their clients to feel like they've won. The seller, I want to feel like I've won. If I'm borrowing somebody else's money, I want the private money lender to feel like they've won. If I'm going to the same title company every time, I want the title company to be like, man, I'm so glad I worked with this guy. He's brought me 3 deals this month. So I want everybody involved in the transaction to feel like they won the transaction. So win-win is the last resort, a worst case scenario.
Yeah. And, tell me if you find this true too, man, because I feel like in this world, in our little realm of real estate investing and the people that we know that are doing it, I always feel that there's a piece of the pie for everybody. Like I always feel that there's more than enough to go around. But a lot of people that I've encountered and I've come in contact with, I think they feel the opposite. Like they gotta be like, there's not enough. I gotta get everything. You know what I mean? Where do you fall on that?
I think that goes back to with what resonates with you as an investor. So, Pace and the community culture of giving back and good karma and good energy and helping people really resonates. And that's what attracts us. And then there are programs that a lot of them are wholesaling based. And it's like, you got to beat the seller down, get them as low as possible. You make your margin when the seller on the lowest price the seller could take, not what they want or what they need. It's like the lowest price you can convince them to take. And I think about people too much. So that's why I left teaching. I couldn't stop thinking about my kids at 3:30 when school was over. I thought about it all the way to when I went to bed, and it interfered with the rest of my life. And so I don't want to sell something or I don't want to buy something from somebody for nothing. And then me worried about, man, I wonder what's happening to that person now. I wonder what they're doing with their life. But if I can help somebody out of a tough situation with creative financing, bring them more money than other people are going to bring them, then I can think about that situation. I'm like, man, they're so much better off than they would have been. I bet. I hope that's what set their life, like help them restart their life or help them do something positive with their life.
Yeah, dude, I'm totally in agreement with you in that. And just like Pace always used the term go-giver in our community, right? He's always talking about being a go-giver, and a lot of people are in our community. There's a lot of go-givers out there. For me, I want to be that kind of person, but I need to know why I want to care about you. So in my pursuit, like getting to know people, it really helps me because I get to put a face to the name and the journey they're on, and it makes me care more because I'm very I love Pace when he tells stories because I'm very story oriented. I like the stories, right? So when me and you got to know each other, I think we met on Creighton's coaching call, or no, in a role play, Daily Dial. We met
Daily Dial with Creighton.
And then we got onto Creighton's coaching call, and that's how me and you sort of got connected. But I care about you because I know about you. You know what I mean? And it made me care about you more, bro. Like I want to see you do great shit, and stuff. So so that's sort of what I'm like trying to do here with our community is get to know people on a more personal level, so that way, you know, I think that's a true relationship, right? Like
Mhm.
creating a true relationship, genuine relationship. Like
Mhm.
I have you in my phone, you know what I mean? I consider you a friend. I want to call and talk to, you know, see how
Yeah.
you're doing.
And we do that. You're like, hey, let's talk through this problem.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And so, speaking of that, because I want to ask you two more questions, and then I'll let you go because I know your time's valuable too. One is, what's your biggest obstacle, or what was your biggest obstacle in your real estate journey, stopping you from moving forward? Or
um, you know, I guess this is a personal thing, but for me, it's always myself, either my mindset or my lack of taking action or something else. I try to maybe too much try to take things as something I can handle or be in charge of. And so if I'm not making a deal, it's my fault. You know, I try to accept blame for that. If I'm not buying deals, I don't have enough money. And then if my mindset's in the right space, that's my mindset. But I am fully capable of doing this, and I think everybody is fully capable of doing this. And so once you have to be able to battle your mind consistently, battle yourself consistently. And you know, my biggest obstacle is always going to be battling myself. Um, but you know what? I guess the answer to a question you might be asking instead is what can help me in my real estate journey. It's always deals and money. So I'm always looking for deals and opportunities, and I'm always looking for money, people who want to put their money to use and get into real estate. And maybe they don't necessarily have time to look at deals, or they want to get to short-term rentals or midterm rentals, and they don't want to start the business. They'd rather partner with somebody who can do that. Yeah, that's really where what I try to focus on is helping people put their money to use, helping people structure the deals. I really love helping new people get a hot lead, somebody who they're open to creative. Now what? And I love coming in, helping them take it to the finish line, structure it so that the seller feels great, that the buyer feels great, and they can get the deal closed. And you know, and that a lot of times will propel somebody to continue to go do it themselves. I think of back to being a go-giver, the movie Pay It Forward, and just doing something just for absolutely no reason other than to benefit somebody else.
Dude, amazing, brother, amazing. And you hit both of my questions, because I was going to ask you what you would need to help you in you furthering your journey. But for me too, mindset has been a biggest thing for me as well, dude. Like just getting over my limiting beliefs and some self doubts, and you know, can I really do this kind of mentality is, you know, stopping me from greatness, you know. So I've really worked on that as well. I think as well as you have. But dude, so for anybody that wants to get in contact with you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you? And yeah, so if they need help or they want to get started or ask you or come to you with a deal or leads or money, what's the best way to contact you, man?
Yeah, I'm at Auburn Ninja on Facebook and Instagram. You can DM me if you want to email me. My email is tj@13rainbows.com, the number 13. And I'm willing to help anybody. And you know, another thing I want to tell your listeners, especially since, you know, we're trying to talk to a lot of people who are thinking about real estate or new to their real estate journey, there's a whole spectrum of real estate. So you can be in real estate and not change your current lifestyle at all. And for those people, I say just plan on buying a house with your conventional mortgage and moving every 2 years and doing that for a decade. And you'd have a portfolio of 5 properties and you never have to worry about anything again. All the way to quitting your job, going full-time real estate, building a team, becoming, you know, the next Grant Cardone, Brian Panetta, you know, Pace Morby. Like there's something for everybody in between in real
Dude,
estate.
and you know what? You mentioning that I know we were about to end this, but you mentioning that, dude, like there's a lot of jobs within the real estate investing
Mm-hmm.
world too. Like you don't have to just be an agent. You don't have to just be like a fix and flipper. You can be a transaction coordinator. You can be a lender. You can be somebody who's a connector. You can, I mean, there's so many things that you can do within the real estate world, investing world, and also make money off of it as well. So as I do more of these shows, I'll start bringing on different people that do different things, you know, as well as like maybe just a lender, we can talk to them, or you know, somebody like who's just a connector as well, you know, like all that stuff. But anyways, man, I'm going to put your contact information in the show notes. So if anybody wants to reach out to this guy and ask for his advice, or you've got a deal that he might be interested in, or anything like that, you can feel free to reach out to TJ. Bro, I just want to say thanks for coming on. I appreciate your time. If there's anything I can ever do for you, I'm just a phone call away, brother.
Awesome. Thanks, Lance. I appreciate you having me on here. It's been a blast. I can't wait to talk to you again.
Hell yeah, man. Thanks a lot, brother.
All right, later.